Everyone dreams of saying I do to the perfect husband, having a grand wedding, and living happily ever after. But rarely do we think the fairy tale wedding we dreamt of will end up as a front page headline of Tinseltown tabloids. In this series, we explore the rise and fall of Hollywood's greatest romances and how the most blissful marriages ended in divorce riddled with scandal. The Glamour Files presents Hollywood Divorce. In 1920s Hollywood, Charlie Chaplin was one of America's most beloved comedians and movie stars. He was an English actor, filmmaker, and composer who rose to fame through his on-screen tramp persona. Chaplin was known as a comedic genius for his brilliant modern comedy films. However, Chaplin's personal life was anything but funny. Chaplin led a scandalous private life with little regard and dated very young girls, one of whom was a budding child actress named Lita Grey. So how did Charlie Chaplin end up with 12-year-old Lita Grey? And how did their forbidden relationship lead to one of the most shocking Hollywood divorces in Hollywood history? Stay tuned to find out more. Charles Spencer Chaplin Jr. was born in 1889. Chaplin's childhood in London was impoverished and filled with hardship. Although, when Chaplin was 19, he signed to the Fred Carnot Company, which took him across the seas to the United States for work. Chaplin soon developed the tramp persona and attracted a large fan base for his comedic films, domestically in the United States and internationally. By 1918, Chaplin was one of the world's best-known comedic actors from Hollywood. While Chaplin organized his acting career, Lita Grey was just a little babe in arms, born Lolita Louise McMurray in 1908. She was a California native from the pioneering Carrillo family that goes back generations to the early years of Spanish-occupied California. Grey was raised in Los Angeles in a very sheltered environment. For a little girl like Lita Grey, Chaplin was a larger-than-life Hollywood comedic actor, soon to be known for his films, charm, and antics like in The Kid in 1921. Grey met Chaplin for the second time when she was 12. As the story goes, she was playing in the front yard of her apartment building, and Charlie's assistant director was walking along the street talking shop to Charlie Chaplin near Chaplin Studios. The associate director introduced Grey to Chaplin and said, quote, "This is a little girl I was talking about," unquote. Lita Grey then came running over to talk to them. Grey's angelic appearance immediately struck Chaplin. Chaplin told Grey that she was beautiful and asked if she wanted to be in the movies. Grey consulted her mother, who came down from the apartment building to talk to Chaplin. After a brief chat, Grey's mother approved of Lita working as a child actress. Within days, Grey signed a contract for Chaplin Film Studios, and she was to appear in the upcoming 1921 film called The Kid. For Chaplin, Grey was a young, exotic beauty that needed to be morphed into a sexy woman for The Kid in 1921. To transform Grey from a child into an adult woman, Chaplin had Grey dress up in her mother's clothes, a pair of high heels, and put on makeup. In the film, Chaplin had prepubescent Lita Grey portray a flirting angel suspended by wires in a scene set in celluloid heaven. The Kid was released in January of 1921. After filming, despite Grey's young age, Chaplin became smitten with Grey and started to romance her to win her affection. 3 years rolled by, and when Charlie Chaplin was 35 years old, he upped the ante and seduced 15-year-old Lita Grey. Chaplin told his friends they would marry if she had his child. So when Chaplin started filming his next movie, The Gold Rush, in 1925, a tale of life in Alaska, Grey was set to be cast in the film. However, Grey became pregnant with Chaplin's child, and Georgia Hale replaced Grey for the film project. But rather than being honorable and marrying Grey, Chaplin suggested that she have an abortion. But after that failed, he offered Grey tons of money to get rid of the child. Grey's mother was furious when she heard the news of her young daughter's pregnancy by Charlie Chaplin. According to Lita Grey's book, My Life with Chaplin, the then Lolita Louise McMurray recalls how a family member took his shotgun from the wall and marched over to Chaplin's mansion to confront Chaplin about his misdeeds. The wedding, Grey recounted, took place shortly after that. In November of 1924, Charlie Chaplin and 16-year-old Lita Grey married, and she became his second wife. They then had a discreet ceremony far away from the press. The Chaplins had an arduous marriage, as Grey struggled with pregnancy. Alone and frightened, Lita Grey gave birth to 2 boys, the first, Charles Jr. Chaplin, born in 1925, and the second son, Sidney Chaplin, born in 1926. The boys were born 1 year apart at home on Summit Drive in Beverly Hills, California. Chaplin was not there because, according to him, he was, quote, busy. Chaplin threw himself into his work for long hours at the studio to avoid seeing Grey and their children. Chaplin carried on as a womanizer and had multiple affairs with various actresses and young ladies. At the same time, Grey was a dedicated mother left at home with her 3 children without the help from Chaplin. Chaplin's scandalous affairs, constant absence from the home and family, and his film career all took a toll on Lita Grey, who usually remained isolated and alone at home. By November of 1926, Grey took the children and left the family home. Chaplin and Grey endured 9 months of divorce proceedings. The press spun larger-than-life stories of the comedian's lack of parenting and growing anger toward his wife, Lita Grey, whom Chaplin dismissed as beneath him. Grey and Chaplin had a long and bitter divorce over many months. Grey's application accused Chaplin of infidelity, abuse, and harboring deep perverted sexual desires, which leaked into the papers, causing a chaotic press frenzy. At the time, Chaplin was reported to be in a nervous breakdown as the story became headline news, and groups formed across America calling for his films to be banned. The newspapers claimed that Grey, who appeared in Chaplin's 1921 classic The Kid, was forced to perform sexual acts that were illegal in California at the time. Chaplin allegedly took part in a threesome with another woman. Chaplin's sexual proclivities and debauchery immensely bothered Lita Grey and affected his divorce trial. In the Chaplin's 50-page divorce papers from 1927, Grey described Chaplin's treatment of her as, quote, revolting, degrading, and offensive. Interestingly, their divorce papers were found 90 years later at an abandoned Los Angeles bank. According to the divorce papers, Grey also claimed that Chaplin's requests shocked her as a young woman with, quote, refined sensibilities. Allegedly, Chaplin once said, quote, all married people do those kinds of things, Lita. You are my wife, and you have to do what I want you to do. Additionally, Grey was one of the only wives that Chaplin did not mention in his autobiography. Grey and Chaplin's marriage lasted from 1924 to 1927, and their Hollywood divorce occurred on August 22nd of 1927. Grey was granted $825,000, the largest settlement in U.S. history, when she was awarded the money. Grey's payment was worth more than $9.4 million in today's currency. The cash from Grey's settlement was put into a trust for each one of her children. In addition, copies of her lengthy divorce complaint, which revealed scandalous sex claims against Charlie Chaplin, were published and publicly sold, and their divorce immediately became a sensational media event. After Lita Grey's divorce from Charlie Chaplin, she went into a nightclub and vaudeville career and took advantage of her newfound fame. Grey spent all of her money on costumes and musicians. Grey also made an ill-advised purchase of a Beverly Hills home. In Grey's personal life, she remarried, became a singer, and went to work at a Beverly Hills department store before passing away. For Charlie Chaplin, this Hollywood divorce scandal was still a point of grave speculation throughout his life, but it did not stop him from finding love again. As a result, Charlie Chaplin married twice again and had many more children. Although Chaplin's personal life involved a scandal with Lita Grey, he still had a long, legendary film career in Hollywood despite his actions with young women. To this day, Chaplin is considered one of the world's greatest entertainers and comedians of the 20th century. Charlie Chaplin and Lita Grey's divorce was one of Hollywood's first scandalous divorce proceedings. Their forbidden, problematic, and complicated marriage became a point of controversy and speculation for fans and Hollywood types alike. Their case will be added to the Hollywood Divorce Files. So there you have it. What do you think about Charlie Chaplin and Lita Grey's Hollywood divorce? Did your favorite couple make it into the Hollywood Divorce Files? We'd love to hear your thoughts about what A-list pair we should include in the show's next episode. Leave a comment below. If you haven't already done so, please like this video, click the bell to stay up to date on our upcoming videos, and subscribe. Also, join us on Instagram, TikTok, and Meta for more content. For more information on Charlie Chaplin's life and career, check out the various books, film, and memorabilia links below. Until next time, Glamour Gals, this is Hollywood Divorce.